This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser. And Dan, I really thought we were going to have our first victory pod of 2024 here today, and it was not written in the stars.
Listen, fuck the stars, fuck the referees. Everything, man. This was supposed to be so different, dude. I'm debating, do we ease into this? Am I hot already? Because I haven't really cooled off from Saturday in general. Peter's hot. Peter, good buddy of ours, is kind of starting to piss Peter off a little bit, quote unquote. Daniel Sperry, we got you, boy.
Peter got a little testy in the post-game press conference, that's for sure.
Got a little fired up. You guys should go watch that. They didn't cut it. They kept that in there.
I think it was Jared Kohler from KCTV5. I want to say he tweeted out the segment of it. And I get it. I mean, look, I do not want to be in the unenviable position, regardless of sport you're talking about, to after just suffering like a heartbreaking moment in a game, be like, okay, now we're going to put a bunch of microphones in front of you and just ask you, like, how mad are you about it?
That's the worst.
And that sucks.
And dude, this is going to take up the whole show today. I swear to God, we're not going to have enough time to even talk about LAFC this weekend, because this weekend was a lot of good things, really. Like, I had a great experience at the home opener, and we'll talk about our experiences here. But I think just the way it ended, it's like we got so many little things to hit here, man. Yeah, there was a lot. And like you said, it started off really cool. So we're going to talk about the in-stadium enhancements and everything. And I want to hear your perspective as a fan. And then, we'll talk about this game and what we take from it. But if you have not yet left us a 5-star rating or review, go ahead and do so. We'd appreciate it. Do it on Apple Podcasts, and we'll go ahead and read it on air if you do. So appreciate those of you who have done it. Helps us get found by new people. So thank you for doing that. Let's talk about stadium experience and fan experience for Sporting Kansas City, because it has been a topic of conversation for at least a couple of years now, but probably 3-4 years, where people have started to see these expansion teams come in MLS, whether it be Austin or Charlotte or St. Louis, what have you, that are doing some pretty cool stuff with their in-stadium experience, with their stadiums in general and supporter sections or whatnot. And I think it kind of came to a head for Sporting KC this last year when St. Louis entered the league, because that was really like the one-to-one direct comparison. Like, we're not talking Austin anymore or Charlotte. We're talking you can hop in a car, drive 3 hours down the road, and you're in St. Louis. And St. Louis talked a lot of shit. So Sporting, they're having baby's first protest right now about U.S. Open Cup. They're having a great time.
They are, which we'll have to talk about that too. I forgot that was even happening this week.
Wow. We'll see you in 2 hours. Don't fast forward, folks.
But Sporting had announced that they made some in-stadium enhancements, including brand new screens. They replaced the 2 screens that did exist. They added a 3rd screen in the corner above the members club.
They replaced 2 screens? I thought they just replaced the one.
The
other one was replaced like recently, like in the last couple of years.
Okay, you may be right. Well, I know the big one for sure is brand new, because that one's got the cool little angle that's going along with the stadium geometry now. And you can tell that it doesn't have like the weird patches of pixels that are different colors than the others.
Yeah. It looks great.
It looks awesome. It looks real crisp, real sharp. They added the other one that's in the corner above the members club, and that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really read that, but I was like, I don't know. My sinuses were effed up, dude. It looked like I was looking through water all night. I'm like, Marissa, people are going to think that like you just dumped me or something. I looked like I was bawling, bro.
You did.
It was so sad.
We met up briefly before the game so I could give you a couple of things, and you got out of the car, and I could tell your eyes were like, oof, he's been going through it with the allergies.
Horrible time. Horrible. Still rocking through it a little bit, but we're okay.
Yeah.
Relationship's fine.
We knew about the video boards, and we had heard about the lights, and we didn't exactly know what those would look like. And now, before the game started, I was up in the press box, and I did run into Chad Reynolds, who's creative director for Sporting Kansas City.
Good friend Chad.
I was like, what's going on, Chad? How you doing? Hadn't seen him in a bit. And he was like, dude, the light's going to be really cool. I can't wait for people to see him.
That's the first thing he said.
So I was like, and apparently it's not complete yet. Like there's still
Whoa.
some elements of the lights that are going to arrive over the coming weeks. So it could
Interesting.
continue to be enhanced. But I tried to film it. I put out a video. It
Didn't
didn't
look as
capture the
great.
vibe. It didn't look. It looked cool, but it didn't look like it felt in the stadium. So what were you were down there? What did it feel like for you? I had like a bird's eye view, but where you were in your seats, what did it feel like?
Bro, first off, shout out to new security measures. Like that's the first thing. Everyone arriving at the stadium knew immediately when they got right through security and we're just like, wait, that's it?
Yeah.
It's just greatly improved, man. You're scanning your tickets before you even go through security. It's wild.
Now, did they have the same type of, because where I went in for media security, they used to, we can bring bags in and such, but it used to be like a metal detector you go through, you got to take everything out, do everything with that. This time, I don't know if this is how it was in the regular gates, they had like the Disney World type security where it wasn't a metal detector, you didn't have to take anything out. It's just like two poles that you walk through and it's much faster, much easier.
Precisely. This is what St. Louis had last year when I went. And this is huge, dude. Someone said not really fixed in the cauldron, so I'm like, I don't know. I don't have any experience
but
there.
Didn't you go through that entrance? Like
No.
you went through the members club, or no? I thought you went into the members club entrance. Where did you guys enter?
The entrance right next to it, the non-members club, the east entrance or the north entrance there.
Okay, I guess there are technically two different entrances for the members club.
Yeah.
Right there. I was thinking that same corner.
It was dope, dude. And getting right in there, I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is crazy. No one happened to go in and out because they forgot some coins they left in their pocket or something. Because that's crazy that all of a sudden it's everyone's first time going through a metal detector. They're like, oh, yeah, I guess this is metal. Weird. But no, get into your seat. Everyone's got these bracelets, right? And I'm like, all right, putting that on because that's dope. And they're hyping it up all pregame, right? Let you know it's going to happen. It was cool, dude. Like, it was very cool. I was vibing, just a neat experience. And I took it off afterwards. And Marissa goes, what are you doing? Like, they're going to use it all throughout the game. And I was like, and I had like broken the little, like the little notch came all the way off. And so mommy had to fix it for me.
Just imagine you holding it up all game.
I was like, I want to be a part of this. What a cool enhancement though, right? And I assume they'll probably, I don't know. They can't give wristbands every game, but they'll do that show every game.
There were lights. There was more fire. Even though I think some of the fire didn't quite go off as well.
The fire did this, dude.
Yeah,
it went moving up and did like a wave of fire.
It was oscillating.
Oscillating fire.
Yeah, that was very cool. The pyrotechnics were very cool. The LED lights all around the stadium were flashing on and off. It went dark and there was just blue all around the field, similar to what St. Louis does with their red. And then fireworks going off. It was cool. The intro video was really cool. And I don't know if you noticed from where you were sitting, but it was real evident from where I was sitting. Throughout the game, they had like a blue hue that from the lights above that were just surrounding all the fans. Like the top half of the fans, it was like a gradient into this like blue light that looked really cool.
I saw that on pictures. I'd be interested to know if that like affected people's experience. Like surely it wasn't like noticeable for them, right? I know if I'm sitting in a big blue light all night, I'm going to be like, is this going to go off? It would feel weird, right? It's dude, that show you came and saw me in, Something Rotten.
Yeah.
We did a performance one time and one of the lights out in the audience failed and was drooping down and was spotlighting this table of two older folks. And we just sang the whole first song, it looked like, to them as they were illuminated out there.
Like, why are we spotlighted?
You could see them like, what is going on?
Yeah.
That's how it would feel, though.
It looked really cool. It was a longer like intro experience. So I thought it was cool. Credit to Sporting Kansas City for making some of those enhancements. I don't know if you probably didn't have concessions because I don't know how the vegan options still are.
Sure
but
did.
You did? How are those?
Bro, we took a shot on the vegan sausage again.
Okay.
And it is enhanced, my friend.
Enhanced vegan sausage.
When did I have it last? 2 years? Like not last season. I don't think I had it at all. I think it was like 2 seasons ago.
Right.
And it was served in a foil, which just like got all soggy buns, greasy. Right. You don't want soggy buns, dude.
No.
This was served in a carton.
Okay.
And that's it. And it was served in a carton last year, apparently, too. We just never jumped on it. So it's way better.
Enhanced vegan sausage. Apparently, pour your own soda and beer. and
Yeah, that's
places,
interesting, right?
which is cool because I remember that was one of the things when we went to St. Louis that they were doing, and I was like, "That's kinda cool." You get you like a little souvenir cup, you get to pour your own drink, you get refills, so if I'm paying $8 for a soda, at least I can have as much soda as I want, as opposed to I pay $6 for a medium soda, and then I gotta pay another $6 if I want another one.
Yeah.
So, that's kinda cool. So, I don't know, I'd be curious if you're a fan, what did you think of the stadium enhancements and the experience enhancements? Let us know. Tweet us at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMax03. You can send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. But this is like by no means all that sporting should do to continue to improve fan experience and the
Right.
game enhancement. But this seemed like a good step to try to disrupt the stale feeling that sort of set into the pregame experience over the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years. And they kind of started to do it last year. They switched from the John Cena "You Can't See Me" song to a Bad Bunny song. Like they were trying to be like, okay, we've been doing the same thing. Let's update this a little bit. So
I didn't even notice that. Wasn't it still John? Well, I don't even know if I showed up in time for warm-ups. They did away with John Cena last year?
yeah, partway through the year, they
Mm,
switched it from Cena to Bad Bunny.
interesting.
So
Hey, they're staying in the WWE universe
there you go.
with that pick.
There you go. If you could pick one WWE walkout song, like current one, or it doesn't have to be current one, but if you could pick another one that you want the team to run out to, what would you pick?
Bro, you know what'd be awesome is just the breaking of glass,
That's what I
and
thought
it's the
too.
Stone Cold song. I mean, that song says, "I'm about to beat some ass."
That one I thought would be cool. I'm a sucker for Edge's theme song. I always love that one.
I like AJ Styles, man. They don't want none. What?
That one's fine. It's a little slow for me. The other one I really do like. I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley's theme song.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
100%.
one gets me hype, and it's scary, but she's kind of scary. So,
Yeah.
but
I
it'd be
will
pretty cool.
get the just the Roman Reigns song. That's just so freaking that thing is so slow, man, as he
It's so
takes his
slow and long and
9-minute
dramatic.
walk.
Only one I think I've seen that's more slow and dramatic is The Undertaker, especially
Yeah,
at WrestleMania.
right. Exactly. But that
Yeah.
should be slow and creepy.
But it's really cool that sporting has started to try to listen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And
And
if you were illuminated in blue the other night, I'd like to know. I'm just super curious if that was if that affected anybody.
the other interesting thing, and this is even before the game, neither of us could go to media day this year, so we weren't there. But some of the people that Daniel Sperry and Chad Smith or whatnot, they were there. An interesting thing that fans have been talking about for a little bit, that this is the first time that Peter has sort of openly addressed this, is he kind of mentioned that the sporting director search is still ongoing, which, as we know, Gavin Wilkinson was hired as a sporting director, lasted 8 days, got fired for obvious reasons that he should have never been hired for. But Peter said they're still looking to fill that position because he would like to get out of the contract and negotiation and salary cap game. Like
Hmm.
he kind of wants to focus in on coaching more. And this, I think, is a really potentially positive change. And a lot of fans have been calling for getting that position split so Peter could focus on one or the other. And Peter, I think, clearly would like to focus on coaching. So it's interesting. This is just another evolution of, even if that position still reports to Peter, but Peter loosening the grip a little bit to let other
Yeah.
people spend 100% of their time on that, and he can spend the vast majority of his time on coaching.
Well, if anyone's mad at that, it's like, what? This is what you've been wanting.
Right.
Like, I don't know if this is him listening or just finally being like, it's time. Like,
Right.
I'm fucking tired.
Well, and I think maybe last year and the way it went, probably, I mean, obviously nobody expected to lose the first 10 games. And he's said things over the course of the offseason of like, well, the people who are going to play this year actually have earned the time to play, as opposed to last year where people had to play out of necessity. Well, if that's the case, and you were the one responsible for constructing the roster, then you're kind of, in a way, sort of like implicitly criticizing your own roster construction because you didn't have the depth that was quality enough to actually play. So maybe last year, after realizing like, I don't have the bandwidth to build, maybe I can build a starting 11, but I don't have the bandwidth to dig into those depth pieces anymore. That's, we're not in Peter's brain, but that's a positive change. And I think if you look at the landscape of MLS, you don't really see the Bruce Arena or Peter Vermees who were technical director and head coach anymore. That just doesn't really work. So
Yeah, true.
positive change. So Before we dive into the game, I think maybe we take our first break here. Let's take a commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about the game, lineups, and what exactly transpired. But let's go ahead and take our first break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
Hey, welcome back to Kooser's CONCACAF Champions Cup Corner. Buddy, have you been watching these Champions Cup games?
I've been trying to catch him, yeah.
Yeah, trying to. MLS is kind of whooping that ass. I mean,
Yeah.
It's great. I don't think they're playing anyone that's really, really good, but
No.
they will be. They will be soon, and that leads us right into Philadelphia's rotated lineup. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we had a winnable game ahead of us here.
We had so Philly played 120 minutes leading into this game.
Yeah.
And then you look at the lineup and you see, okay, Kai Wagner, Gazdag, Bedoya, Ure, Glesnes, like these are some of their big name players who are starting on the bench. And then you look at Sporting's lineup, you're like, this is by and large the first choice 11. This is a home game. They're tired. This is it's not a must win, but this is a game that like would be embarrassing not to win.
You should have been real hungry for this one. Like, you're like, come on, man, we should take advantage. We have an unchanged lineup from last week. All we can do is improve on that.
Yeah.
We gave up a draw then, and it's like, man, that first half, it was a tale of two halves. Like, we just never let off the gas in that first half.
Yeah. Yeah. I think overall, I mean, you could tell, and it doesn't really, I'm a big stats guy. It didn't really show up in the stats in terms of like expected goals. And I think, that's worth noticing, but I think it's slightly misleading in a way, because Sporting Kansas City, I would say throughout the first, half hour, 45 minutes, really, they were getting into dangerous positions and creating opportunities. They were just missing, maybe it's a tale as old as time for Sporting Kansas City, just missing that final little ball. Like the guy with the ball would pass in one lane and his teammate would break into the other lane. It's like, they just weren't quite on the same page, or they did put the ball in the back of the net and Eric Tommy was half a shoulder offside, or gets called for a foul that may or may not actually be a foul where Sporting Kansas City maybe should have scored another goal. So they were right there for the vast majority of the first half. And it was in the 19th minute when Sporting Kansas City finally did break through. It was Remy Voltaire, who was kind of hanging out near the top of the box. Ball gets kind of deflected by a Philadelphia Union defender, and Remy just picks this one out from distance and just totally freezes the Philadelphia Union goalkeeper. I don't think he expected Remy Voltaire to have this within him, but he just puts it away.
It was a nice little build up to it, though, man. Like, balls getting hit here, hit over here, a little touch here, a little chest here. It was just, goddamn. It was exciting to celebrate our first goal at home in 2024.
I think I saw Sporting put out a video where we could see the whole build up. I think it was 16 passes to 10 different players or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And it's credit to Remy. It's a hell of a hit. I mean, it kind of bounces off the inside of the far post, and the keeper couldn't really do anything about it because like I said, he kind of froze. Even if he didn't freeze and fully dove, there's no way he's stopping that one. That was just a well hit ball. If
you hit the post like that, that's going in the goal 9 out of 10 times. You know what I mean? It's a no save situation. And Remy, dude, he has that quality to line something up from that distance. And he doesn't always get that opportunity. He's playing more of a maestro sometimes in the midfield.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's good to be able to see people that aren't, the front three scoring. It was nice when it looked like Polito got his goal a little bit before that, because I was like, great, Polito needs to have a goal to get him going. And it was a good run that he had to get him in a dangerous spot. But like we said, Tommy just leaned a little bit, couldn't quite get there. But overall, in the first half, outside of maybe one or two chances, Philly, I mean, at one point, I think I looked in like 15 minutes in and Sporting had like 86% of possession or something like that. Like they were dominant on the ball, and they looked very comfortable. And Philly looked like a team that had just played 120 minutes, and Sporting looked like a fresh home team. So that gave me confidence. And I think I even tweeted out, like, if this Sporting keeps up at this pace, 2 or 3 goals is certainly a possibility, if not likely. So,
Yeah, I love that you tweeted something like that out, and then we got this kind of result.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say
Always
it's my
nice.
fault.
No, I would never say that either. That's asinine.
but you know, it didn't turn out the way I had hoped. But I mean, halftime, you're up 1-0, absolutely dominating, I would say, you know, feeling pretty good at that point.
Yeah, why not, man? You're thinking, hey, it might not take 10 games to get a victory this year, and our first one's going to be at home. But at 1-0, if you're confident in 1-0, is this your first time? Is this your first game? Like, you can't ever be confident at 1-0. You don't think you have that victory in the bag at all.
Right.
Because silly shit happens, people.
Silly stuff does happen. And you know, I didn't think the game would end 1-0. I wasn't confident in it ending 1-0, but I was thinking at this point the Union haven't shown anything. Now, what was concerning is I knew they had that firepower on the bench. And so I was like, okay, if they come out at halftime and they bring in Gazdag, if they bring in Wagner, that is what could be potentially a little concerning. And of course, that's what they did. And it certainly helped.
Bedoya came in as well.
Bedoya came in. It certainly helped the Union attack sort of get back together. They're a good team. They're a team that can very much compete for the East. So it was nice that even though it became a little bit more of an even game in the second half, I thought by and large, the Sporting KC defense did a pretty fantastic job limiting opportunities for Philly and making life difficult for them.
Can we talk about late in that game that amazing slide tackle from Jake Davis?
Oh my God. Jake was on one all game. And you know what? I'm going to do this right now. We do our holiday toast of the game. And Jake Davis, for that moment right there, you, my friend, you're going to be our holiday toast of the match.
I was hoping you'd do it. I was going to say it, but I was like, nah, I said it last week, but here it is. I teed you up.
You teed me up. Jake Davis, because last week he was okay, not great. He looked like a guy who was learning the position again. And at this point, you're hoping you're not so much learning the position. Like, you're always learning and getting better, but like, you don't want to look like you're actively learning how to play the position that you're playing while you're in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
In this game against Philly, he was bossing people off the ball. He was perfectly timing. And to Fontes' credit, he was having some pretty good step up and timed tackles or timed passing lane cutoffs as well.
Yeah.
But Jake Davis week to week was incredible.
I get a full dose of Jake Davis every game because from where my seats are, I get that right back position, or I get Shallowy when we're coming the other way. You know what I mean? So I watch a lot of Jake Davis, man, and it's not boring.
No, not at all. He's a fun one to watch because you can tell when you're watching him play that he has that attacker in him.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the highlight right now. I forgot at how crucial of a time that tackle came to. It was 88th minute. And
they were coming. They were putting pressure on that whole last 10 minutes.
Last 10, 15, Philly was coming. And they were on a break again. And Jake could, like, if he gets this wrong, this is a red card situation.
Bro, that's some shit you do in FIFA, and you're like, fuck it, we'll see what happens. Right. And oftentimes, you get a card in FIFA. You get
a red card. So he not only steals the ball, but then he springs it on a 3-on-3 breakaway. And it was, man, he laid it off.
Back up. He popped up to start dribbling.
He popped back up. He then takes the ball, 40, 50 yards down, and he lays it off for Johnny Russell, which was the right decision. Johnny maybe just takes one heavy touch toward the end line and couldn't quite get a good enough angle. If Johnny takes it a little bit closer to first time, there's a chance that it's 2-0 and he puts it away there. But Jake was just incredible.
It was so much fun, dude. Just seeing him win that tackle, I go, oh my God.
I think I audibly said something in the press box, and you're not supposed to. But I think
you're fired, bro.
I wasn't like cheering, but I think like a few of us in there were like, oh God, or holy shit, or whatever it was. Like, we kind of jumped out of our seats because
you just say the word, you go, gasp.
Gasp. That was a brave tackle, and he got it
Yeah.
100% correct.
That man is still playing with grown-ass men. He's
Mhm.
still a child in my mind. I know he's not, but it just feels like the dude is earning his keep.
He's a young guy, and he's definitely earning his spot. Um, we get to stoppage. The ref holds up 4 minutes, which I didn't have an active complaint about in the moment, but it did feel maybe a
Yeah.
little bit long. But like, I don't think
There
I'm gonna
was
sit
an
here.
injury, though. There was a guy down for a minute on their end.
There was. So I'm not gonna sit here and complain that like 4 minutes, it should have been 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever. Philly did have a penalty shout in like the 92nd, 93rd minute where Gazdag went down. Would have been real light for me. I mean, it wasn't all that much different than the penalty that Eric Tommy tried to draw in the first half, where he kind of fell down in the box, and I didn't think that was a penalty, so I didn't think the one against Gazdag was a penalty. Video review checked it, did not determine it was a penalty. So then Sporting KC, they have the ball, they're trying to stop a Union from building an attack. The clock's at 93, 56, 57, 58. Sporting had just thrown it in. They're hitting the ball around. The ball goes off Kai Wagner. Everybody in the stadium points Sporting's direction.
Clear as day. Clear as day.
Jake Davis even holds up his hand. If you watch the replay, you can see Jake Davis hold up his hand being like, okay, slow it down motion, because at this point it's 94:01, 94:02. The AR was about 10 yards away, totally facing the other direction, didn't get eyes on it whatsoever. And the head referee looks kind of to the AR, doesn't see anything, and then points the direction of the Union. And let me tell you, the Cooligans, they tweeted this out. I have never seen a clip where the ball goes out, literally everybody's sitting in their seats. You all see them hold up their hands and point one direction. And then when the ref points the other direction, in unison, it's like the entire side of the stadium was doing the wave at the same time. Everybody just leaps out of their seats and is screaming. And you can
You're
even see
making
the
me
body
mad.
language of the Union players, because at one point, like one kind of stopped and almost started backing up. And then when he sees his teammate grab the ball and the ref hold his hand up, all of a sudden they're sprinting and Sporting players are sprinting, trying to make up for it. But it was just an absolute disaster of a refereeing game.
The only worst part was that I knew I'd have to get on here and talk about it, because it's oh my God, dude, it's so bad. And it was at the death that I turned to my wife and I said, I guess we should go. I mean, that's it. Like, that's the game. And so we turn around and start walking out, and we're walking up on the concourse, and we're still playing this game.
Well, that was the
And
problem.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to stop up here and watch, because stranger things have happened. I'm going to watch the game come to an end, and then it comes to an end.
Well, so they get the ball, they throw it in. Sporting kind of broke and Peter said this after the game, Sporting kind of broke their attack twice more, where, at like 95-25 or 94-25, 94-30, the ball was deflected and kicked away from the Sporting KC goal back toward the Philly goal, and Philly regained possession a couple of times. Then they earn a corner, and of course 94-43. And you told me before we started recording, you said when they got awarded the throw in, your first thought was, this is bad. And then you see that they get a corner and you were like, this is really bad.
I whispered to Marissa, I said, this feels like a bad moment. Like, you just felt like something was going to happen. And when it did, I was like, why do I talk? Why do I say anything? Like, I was so mad. God, it's just, this hurts. This hurts, man. To beat Philly, an Eastern Conference team, and it's Philadelphia, a decent team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had it in the bag, man. And to what I say, then you should have scored more. Then you shouldn't have been offsides, Eric Tommy. Then you shouldn't have gotten a foul here. We should have just scored more and put the game away, so we're not even talking about it.
Yeah.
Tamilia should have punched the ball away a little better. Have you even talked about the goal yet? I'm just so mad.
I haven't talked about the goal yet. They hit the corner. It's an in-swinger. Melia gets there. Now, I will say, Ure from Philly, he's kind of in Melia's way. Now, Melia, I talked to him after the game, and he was like, I need to do better. It's my fault. I need to punch it away better. He's taking responsibility. He didn't say anything about the refs. He punches it away. It falls to Bedoya, who he gets a foot to it, but like you could do this 1,000 times, and 999 times he's not making this shot. It just happened to be the one time where he kind of just like field goal kicks it off the ground, almost like a drop kick, and it goes right into the top left corner. who I'm going to say something controversial here for a second because
Oh,
I saw there was a lot of finger wagging, and I am not sitting here condoning the throwing of beer at players on the field. I do not
that
think
was
you
something
should
else.
throw beer at players on the field. Okay. However,
What do you
Alejandro
do?
Bedoya, kind of an asshole, running right up to the cauldron, taunting him, doing all sorts of stuff at him. I don't think you should throw beer at it, but he knew what he was doing.
I
And
also bet that he was getting shit throughout the game from them. I'm sure they were jabberjawing and like saying some shit about him. So
it
when
could
that
be.
happened, you think you're not going to turn to those people and flex on them? Like, I don't know, man. And why are you throwing beers? Do you know how expensive these
Well,
fucking
that's the
beers
thing.
are?
I would drink
Who's
my
throwing
beer.
expensive beers?
But there's
Who's
just
got that
always
money?
it's not like they were like giant like again, let me be clear. I don't think you should do it, but there was so much finger wagging, let's stay classy, Kansas City, and this and
These
that.
fingers
And
too.
like I'm like, we're not this isn't the first fan base that's thrown a plastic cup. It's not gonna be the last one. I don't think you should do it. I also don't think this is a referendum on all Kansas City soccer fans and how dare there's a little
Wait, is that happening?
there was some pearl clutching from some Philadelphia people of how dare they.
Pearl clutching. Wow.
So I'm just like, chill out a little bit. But here's my other hot take.
Oh boy.
I don't think Ure fouled Tim Melia on the punch,
Yeah.
but I think video review should have said he fouled Tim Melia on the punch. I think they should have done a makeup call because it was so obviously that they should not have ever been in that position because they so badly fucked up that throw-in call that there was just enough contact that I think they could have said, we think he got in the keeper's way. We're going to wave off the goal because it never should have gotten there. I
had a
understand
moment,
why they
right?
didn't do that, but if they would have done it, I would have been like, that probably would have been the best way to fix the situation.
You know, refereeing is hard. We also know that these are replacement referees.
Mhm.
These are scabs,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Which is such a horrible name, by the way. Like,
I mean,
like you're
crossing the
healing a
picket line.
wound or something. It's fucking gross. 'Cause
crossing
scabs
the
are
picket
nasty.
line.
And I just feel I feel very strongly like they went home that night not feeling great. Not feeling great
The
about their
referees?
work ethic. Yeah.
Um,
And what about the question at the end of the game where they were like, "What did you see when the ball went out of bounds?" And they were like, "Well, I saw it go off on the Sporting Kansas City player." And I'm like, "Okay, I can't wait for you to go home and watch it,
so
and then fucking
yeah.
quit your job because you're bad."
Here's my biggest gripe with that. Obviously, I'm not surprised he said it because what else is he going to say? He's not going to say I got it
They
wrong.
have to say it. They have to.
But here's my biggest problem. If you look at where the main ref was positioned, he was positioned where Tim Leibold, who he said the ball went off of, was directly between him and I believe it was Kai Wagner for Philadelphia, who the ball actually went off of. He could not actually see where the ball was because he was physically blocked by Tim Leibold. Now, the AR, it's not technically on his side of the field. So yes, it's just on the opposite side of the field from him, but you cannot, in a situation like that, where the ball is 10 yards away from you in a crucial time of the game, completely turn your back and face the other way where you can have no eyes whatsoever, even on your peripheral vision on what is happening with the ball. The primary thing there is what is happening with the ball. Let's say Philadelphia had possession and launched a pass. How would he know if it was offside when he is completely turned away and cannot even see where the ball is? He was positioned wrong.
The offside stuff shouldn't matter as much because it's going to get reviewed if it leads to a scoring chance.
100%.
That gets reviewed, dude. So why aren't you paying a little more attention to possession and who kicks it out of bounds? Like, what is going on? I hope his flag was taken from him. I hope his shirt was. I hope his boss ripped his shirt off and was like, "You're done. You'll never scab in this town again."
Badge off of it, just like take the badge from you.
You're absolutely done. You're out of here. And
Turn
it's like,
your badge and your flag.
So just get the next junior college guy up here. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know how to feel, man. I'm mad, but also this is the second game of the season. And maybe we should have scored more goals. Maybe Tim Melia should have cleared it a little better. You know he should have punched that shit out of there.
Yes.
Like there's no way it should have got right down to Bedoya. But the
Yes.
fact that it did, and now people are throwing $7 beers. Are you guys nuts?
Hold on, you think a beer is $7?
How much is it?
It's like 15.
I'm a sober person. I don't know what's it cost anymore.
A lot more than 7. I wish it were 7.
Dude, I'm like a guy who has been in space, and I come back and I'm like, they're what? They're how much?
When we went to the Nate Bargatze show at the T-Mobile
Yeah.
Center, and
How much are those?
you want to know how much I paid for that beer after
Yeah.
tax?
Yeah.
$21.
Oh no, was it
Now
delicious?
that included a little bit of a tip because I felt bad, but
Oh my god,
$21.
was it yummy?
It's good. Yeah.
I mean, how I don't even know. I
mean, it
don't
was
even
like
know if I ever liked.
And it's a 20-ounce draft beer, but it still shouldn't be $21.
$21 is going to be a $21 piss in 10 minutes.
$21 is more than like the hard alcohol cocktails that I just bought at Disneyland when I was there.
Yeah, right.
$21 is an expensive cocktail at a nice cocktail bar.
I'll never get it. I can't believe people were throwing beers at these players. But one guy got hit, and his face was like, "Did that just happen?"
Yeah. So it's really frustrating. If you look at the quotes after the game from Peter
And the players.
Peter's clearly unhappy. He said, we're now over 4 minutes. They play another ball and the ball goes out for a corner. He keeps the game going. For what reason? I don't know. Was there any major things that happened within the 4 minutes? Nothing. What's the reason for 4 minutes? Why do we even talk about 4 minutes? It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. So, and I think that's true.
Players were saying that the ref wouldn't even talk to them throughout the game. Johnny Russell's the captain.
Mhm.
Ideally, a referee only talks to the captain, only.
Mhm.
And if he stuck by it, he would give people yellow cards for saying, "Hey, you're not the captain. You get a yellow card."
Mhm.
He wouldn't even talk to Johnny. And Johnny's
No.
like, "I don't understand it." Even in the last game, Johnny said that they wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
You have to be able to talk and help your team get an idea of how I can, this is what you're seeing, this is what you want, and then you take that back to your team and communicate. But
Right.
you're not getting that at all. So at the end of the day, the respect is lost between the players and the authority on the field. There
Mhm.
is no authority. We've seen it. It's trash. And Johnny would like to save his money instead of say that. So I'll say it for you, Johnny. It's trash.
The quote from Johnny, he goes, "I was told I wasn't allowed to speak to the referee. I went up to ask him a question. I asked him calmly. I said, 'Can I speak to you?' He said, 'No.' I said,
No.
'As the captain, I'm allowed to speak to you.' And he said, 'No, you're not.'"
Oh my God. Does that not blow your mind?
Yeah.
I
So
would lose it. I'd be like, and then can I hit you in the face? Can I just smack you right in the mouth?
I wasn't given an explanation. I was dismissed, really, when I was trying to talk to him. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I was trying to talk to the guy, same as last week. They just refused to talk to you. I'm not going to say much. I know how sensitive the subject is right now, so I'd rather keep my money for my kids than get it taken off me by the league.
He's right there. Like, what you know what he wants to say, dude, and we're here to say it. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not okay. You're working for the same league as well. So why are you not being a good human being and talking to essentially a coworker of yours? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sucked. It really sucked. And it's a bummer to me because I think there are actually positives to take from this game. I think the defense played really well. I still need to see more from Polito. He had that one moment on the goal that was taken away, but he hasn't really been a big part of these first two games. I need to see more from him. But by and large, I thought the offense as a whole seemed more dynamic than it did in the first game. So that was a positive step.
Don't shy away from these refs just yet. Have
Okay.
you seen the NFL refs? They'll go up and start talking to players. How you been? How's the family?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, how's so-and-so treating you over there? You know what I mean? They know these players. There's a rapport. But with
Yeah.
these soccer refs, it's like, fuck these guys. Fuck
Yeah.
them, dude. I'm done.
My favorite thing I've ever heard from an NFL ref was actually from this most recent Super Bowl after the Niners in
Coin toss?
overtime took the ball and you hear the refs when they're talking just amongst themselves and they're like, I don't know why you want to give Mahomes the ball second. Like that,
Yeah.
not what I would do.
Yeah. We'll see how it works for him, Cotton. Great game plan.
So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is just, it's wild because this should be 4 points through 2 games, and that would be, tied for a top of the West. And again, we're 2 games in. There's 32 more games, but we would have more points through 2 games than we had through 10 games last year. And I think that just mentally would have been a huge milestone.
What do you think the refs that are on strike are doing at home? Just laughing?
Well,
Just
and
like,
this is the thing. It's not just in sporting games, because then if you look at what happened in the New England game with Toronto, a New England player gets full on stepped on, studs up in the box. A Toronto defender steps up, doesn't get anywhere close to the ball, gets stepped on top of his foot. And then it gets recommended for video review by like the director of pro video review or something, who's filling in to help with video review. So he signals down to the head ref, I think you need to take a look at this. I think we might have something here. The head ref goes over, takes a look at what is one of the more obvious penalties I've ever seen in my life, looks at it, comes off the field and goes, no, I was right. No penalty. So
no.
the Revs got a penalty kick stolen from them. And so between these two moments, I'm like, this reminds me of when we had the replacement refs in the NFL back in the day, and my Packers got screwed out of a win with the fail Mary against the Seahawks. This feels like, I don't know if these are kind of the fail Mary moment of MLS, but something's got to change because this isn't working. And even before the out of bounds call, the ref was losing control of the game. He was inconsistent. Things were not going well. Calls didn't make sense. And players for both teams were getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So.
And they were all getting up there and trying to talk to him. But newsflash, apparently they don't want to talk to anybody. It's crap, dude. But Peter was asked, and Peter's like, no, it's not a refereeing problem. Essentially, Peter was like, they're all bad. He's like, you saw the game in Houston last year. But then he said that this year around the league, he's watched a lot of games and they've been fine. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But the moments that haven't been fine have been very blatantly not fine.
Video review's been up. And it's funny because this came 2 days after SB Nation, who gutted their MLS sites and just decided we don't need to cover soccer, suddenly decided to cover soccer and was like, put up this whole article that was like, MLS is using replacement refs this year. Has anybody really noticed? And the main people retweeting it were MLS League PR staff.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't come out here with that. Such a blatant, like, league-sponsored puff piece. And then 2 days later have just multiple examples of just truly terrible refereeing.
Rough, dude. Very rough.
So, and the league has told radio and TV broadcasters that they are not to, quote, belabor the point when addressing the lockout between PSRA and Pro.
What does belabor mean?
Don't talk about it too much. Like, if you mention it quickly and move on. Like, we don't want you to talk about this. Yeah.
Wow. Well, guess what? We're talking about it, and we're not going to stop. And we're the ones who have the voices.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been on socials? Who cares about broadcasts? Like, okay, so people watching overseas won't know.
And even Jim Curtin, the Philadelphia Union head coach after the game, said it was their throw-in. And he knew. And credit to Jonathan Tannenwald, who covers the Philadelphia Union for the Philadelphia Inquirer. He has been all over this, and he's been getting called some names by Philadelphia Union fans, but he's been out here being like, this is bad. The Union got lucky. Sporting should have had that ball. The refs got this wrong. And, this is after the Union's goal, Devin Kerr, who was on the call, said the referee makes the wrong decision. You can be as angry as you want about the situation if you're a Sporting fan, and I get it. And that's the type of stuff that the league's going to be like, hey, don't say that anymore. And so it's why it's important to have independent media out there.
It's very important. But here's the thing. You can't dwell on this. It's week 2 of a very long MLS season. You've got to go to LAFC this weekend. So if you're the players, you're over this. Whatever. Mm-hmm. We got screwed out of 2 points. It's fine. We still got a point. We should have finished it off, before that anyways. They should have never had that opportunity to tie,
Yeah.
So now you get to go to LAFC, who apparently Steve Cherundolo, the head coach, is very upset. Everyone's mad about replacement refs, and he's like, I can't believe we had to play in snow.
This quote,
like, shut up, Steve.
I have the quote here because it's hilarious. I'm glad you brought this up.
Buddy, there's a soccer ball for this.
Yes.
Like, this isn't something where everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's snowing. What do we do? No, people have to do this.
He said, quote, it was an absolute joke we had to play today. It was one of the worst professional sporting events I have ever seen in my life. The game could have and should have been called. In my opinion, it was an absolute disgrace we had to play today.
Is this how soft people are in LA, Jimmy? I need to know.
I mean, LA people truly do not know what to do when it starts raining. let alone
You did move to Kansas, and you were like, all right, what's the traffic like? What do I do? What do I do? Or you moved to Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, he continued, like, it was impossible conditions. I feel terrible for the players that we put them through this. It was just ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. You know what, Steve? The RSL players had to go through the exact same conditions.
And they whooped your ass.
So I did. There was
3-0,
a
dude.
hilarious photo of Hugo Lloris, the new LAFC goalkeeper who came from Tottenham, who just looks absolutely miserable. And like, this is not the type of weather that he got in London very often, if ever. But
What was the temperature?
I don't know for sure. I mean,
Okay.
it was not a small amount of snow. It was
No.
a good amount of snow, but
I played in snow. It sucks, but it's like, how do you still lose 3-0? You're still probably a better team than Salt Lake.
right. It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't like the
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills game that got postponed because it was like -40 with crazy winds.
Right. Was
It
Sporting like, we shouldn't have to play this MLS Cup because it is
Right.
cold.
And, there wasn't a travel problem. People were able to get there. There wasn't thunder and lightning. That's the only real thing that happens with soccer games in America, is if there's thunder or lightning or hurricane or whatnot. If it's snowy, it's snowy. I mean, U.S. Soccer made U.S. men's national team, and what was it, Honduras, play in Minneapolis, where I can't remember if it was Honduras or El Salvador. It was one of those two. Players literally got frostbite and had to get taken off at halftime.
Look, are people making fun of Steve? Are we making fun of
Yes,
this man? Because
absolutely,
like,
we should.
how is that what you come with, dude? Like, you criticize that the game wasn't called off or something. Like, everyone's like, the orange ball is out. We know what the orange ball is, bro.
Yes.
It's there for this.
Are
Too
you?
funny.
So we're not going. Sporting's going to LAFC.
Yeah.
And they're, maybe not the LAFC of a few years ago, but they're still a very strong team. They still got Dennis Mwanga, they got Ilie, Tillman, Atuesta's back, Oliveira's great, Bogusz is a fantastic striker. This, to me, this is still a scary team. And so
It should be.
if we go in there and we get a point and we can come back to Children's Mercy Park for a couple of games after that and have a little homestand, I'm totally satisfied with getting a point from this game. If we can steal a win, great, but I'm not going to go into a game at LAFC and expect us to win a game. I'm totally satisfied with a draw.
I'm not confident at all, especially since they're all probably pissed. They're like, all right, we're back home. It's not cold. Let's get this done. They're probably embarrassed that they didn't even put a goal in. You know what I mean?
I think so. And a 1-goal performance isn't going to cut it against LAFC. This is
No.
going to if they're gonna draw at minimum a goal or two, and if you're gonna want to have a chance to win, you're gonna have to be talking about 2 or 3 goals scored.
Listen, give us a good reason to stay up till midnight. All right, it's a late game. It's 9:30 around these parts. Hey, old Uncle Dan over here doesn't do so good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
9:30 kickoff Central Time.
Gotta get a nap in, buddy. I hope it's a good result.
Yeah, so I think that means that we're not even going to be on MLS 360 because this is probably the late game on the West Coast. So we're going to be the standalone game. All eyes are going to be on Sporting Kansas City and LAFC on this game if you're up. It's the first year LAFC does not have Carlos Vela on the team, who ironically might be with the San Jose Earthquakes the following week when they come to Kansas City.
Vancouver plays San Jose at the same time.
Do they? Okay. So there's 2 games on there. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the rules are for 360. Who knows? They probably don't know either.
They kind of make it up as they go, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, this will be interesting, but LAFC did not do well against RSL. They just fundamentally did not play well. They lost 3-0, like you said. So that scares me a little bit because it makes me, concerned that they're going to come hot. It wasn't for lack of shots. They outshot RSL 16-11. They both had 6 shots on goal. LAFC could only muster 1 XG, but they're a dangerous side. So I'm a little concerned about this game. I will be very happy with the draw. Alan Pulido needs to get more involved.
Yeah,
he simply needs to get more involved.
I'd be happy with the draw too against a team that's very much been a MLS Cup contender the last handful of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we see Alan sort of snap into form a little bit more. It's been nice to see Willie and Afrifa get a little bit more run. I expect we'll see them again too. But I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be a tough one. So
yeah,
we'll be back to talk about whatever happens, obviously. Let's talk a little bit before we go just about sort of other things that happened around the league. You mentioned CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's going on.
You see Minnesota rescue a draw at the death.
Minnesota rescued a draw from Columbus, who many people thought might be the best team in MLS.
Yeah. That's the kind of draw that feels good.
Mhm.
Our draw, bad feeling.
Feels terrible.
But they were at home and they like saved it and got a point at the end, like at the death, dude. It was crazy.
Austin FC, according to American Soccer Analysis, got 0.04 XG for the entire game. So things are going well down in Austin.
Well, against Seattle too, man. It was 0-0. What a boring game against two supposedly decent teams.
Seattle had 23 shots in this game to 2 for Austin.
Couldn't even get one, huh?
Could not put one in the back of the net.
Look, you know who has no trouble putting things in the back of the net is Miami. 5-0, dude, in the old Florida Bowl against Orlando. Messi scored twice with 1 assist. Julian Gressel had like 2 assists.
Suarez scored twice and had an assist in like the first 30 minutes. Like,
goodness.
This is annoying because it's reinforcing everything that the league thought would happen with Miami and what they want to happen. I'm still not convinced Miami's going to be a top team in the East. I think, 5th, 6th when it's all said and done. I'm not convinced Suarez is going to be able to keep any sort of form like that up for the entire season. He's an older guy who, yes, did really well in Brazil last year, but I don't trust he'll be healthy for the whole year. I don't trust Messi will be healthy for the whole year, quite honestly. Yeah. So we'll see. And they just unloaded DeAndre Yedlin for the most random amount of allocation money I've ever seen. But
look,
he's on his way to Cincinnati.
If Miami keeps going in the Champions Cup, there's a real high probability Messi does not play at Arrowhead.
And I would feel truly bad for people who spent that money to come see Messi play.
It would be wild. I mean, if that's the only reason you were going to that game, yeah. Obviously I plan to go anyways, right? But Champions Cup's getting fun now, though, man. You got Monterrey playing an MLS team. You got Tigres, Pachuca. Mm-hmm. I mean, these teams that and you don't have to go Google and wonder where they're from, right?
Right. It's, Champions Cup's fun. Leagues Cup was a little fun last year, although I don't think Leagues Cup was fun enough to virtually destroy the Open Cup, which has essentially happened. We do know now for sure that Sporting Kansas City is going to be one of the 8 teams represented in the U.S. Open Cup for MLS. It's a really strange sort of system that they use to determine who are the 8 teams that play for MLS. I mean, if you're in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, you are not in the U.S. Open Cup. So Columbus, Inter Miami, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Orlando, New England, Nashville, Philly, Vancouver, and Houston. Those were all out. Houston did play. They will play in the U.S. Open Cup because they're the defending champion. So then they take the next 7 best teams in the standings to be in the U.S. Open Cup. And that goes from Seattle at 7th all the way down to San Jose at 16th. And Sporting Kansas City were 15th in the Supporter Shield standings. So that's why we are in. We just made the cut to be in the U.S. Open Cup. Otherwise, we would be one of the 8 or 9 teams that have the MLS Next Pro team representing us.
It's weird. But hey, I'll take it. I love a good Wednesday poorly attended U.S. Open Cup game. Dude, speaking of poorly attended, some of these Champions Cup games are played at MLS stadiums, and there's like nobody there. Yeah. Is that because no one wants to go? Like they're not in to see these, South American teams?
I don't know. I mean, I always thought it was fun to go to the CCL games when they were at Children's Mercy Park, because how often do you get a chance to see Saprissa? How often do you get a chance to see Toluca?
Yeah.
So it's fun, but I don't know. People, when they're on weeknights, sometimes it's harder to pull off.
Sure. I'm all about it. I mean, even some of these teams I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do it. It's different. And if there's a scarf to commemorate the occasion,
sure,
I'm going to get the scarf,
The funniest thing, I am sad about the U.S. Open Cup, and like you said, St. Louis and I saw FC Cincinnati, their supporters group put out a statement today. I think St. Louis, they're the first ones I've seen that said we are not going to engage in any supporter activities at all during the League's Cup in protest. So hey, if they can stick to it, good for them.
Yeah.
We'll see. What I did not know until I saw Paul Kennedy, a soccer writer, tweet out sort of the graphic of who's in and who's out is DC United is not represented in any sort of way in the U.S. Open Cup because they do not have an MLS Next Pro team. So DC United, one of the more storied MLS clubs in American soccer history, just totally out of the oldest soccer tournament run by the U.S. Soccer Federation.
And DC United is one of the oldest MLS clubs. That's
original.
wild. Yeah.
So it kind of sucks. I mean, again, like you said, U.S. Open Cup wasn't exactly the cream of the crop in terms of attended games, especially early on. But it's a cup you got to go for. And it was always fun once you get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. That 2017 final against the Red Bulls at Children's Mercy Park was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, I remember watching us win in 2015, man. I booked our apartment complex, had like a theater room with a big old projector screen and recliners and stuff. And I had some people in there and it was a wild time, dude.
Fun time.
You treated it like it's a trophy, for God's sakes,
Yeah. So kind of bummed, but hey, Sporting Kansas City is going to be in it this year. So we'll show up and support the team whenever that schedule is officially released. MLS teams are going to come in the round of 32. So we'll see. But I think that's about it for this week. You got anything else, my friend?
That sounds right, man. That sounds about it. Good slate of games going on. Full slate on Saturday and 3 on Sunday.
They need to do more Sunday games, man. Let me watch soccer on Sunday.
You should be doing it now because when NFL starts, you're not going to want those Sunday games. So
100%.
So why not? And I like Sunday as being very spotlit. It's spotlighted, but don't put 2 games at 2:00.
No,
don't make them go off against each other. Do a 1, a 4, and a 7 or something, right?
100%. At least 1, 3, 5. Just give me a chance.
Yeah. But I'm very much enjoying trying to get as much of the games in. You just can't possibly watch them all. But MLS 360 is a fun situation that I'll be checking out before our game Saturday for sure.
For sure. Absolutely.
You watching the Oscars?
I will watch the Oscars.
Any Best Picture predictions?
Oh God, you're gonna have to remind me who's nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, I didn't know if you've tried to see them all or what. So.
I haven't. What I have seen is I have seen all of the live action documentary shorts.
Oh,
those were really cool. Really enjoyed those. Let's see here. I think I've only seen Barbie.
Okay,
so
I
will be pulling for Barbie.
Not everything's quite streaming yet. I heard Poor Things is supposed to be great. I think that's streaming this Thursday on Hulu.
Yeah, I have not seen Oppenheimer. My youngest brother Eddie has seen it enough times for me. He's seen it like 5 times in the 70 millimeter special theater that there's 11 of in the country or whatever. So
good grief.
He spent like 20 some odd hours of his life watching Oppenheimer. So that
sure sounds like it.
Yeah. He's a film guy, cinema.
The Holdovers. Great film, The Holdovers, man. You should go check that out.
What I did see this weekend that's obviously not up for nomination this time, but for next year is I saw One Love, Marley.
Bro, don't get me started.
You're not a fan?
Buddy, I see what they're doing, but I can't hear what they're doing because the Jamaican accent is so thick, buddy.
I was all about it. I didn't understand every single word, but I understood the majority of it, so I knew what was going on. But it just felt so real. I forgot it was a movie, and it started feeling like a documentary.
Well, maybe I would have liked it more if the first time I watched it was at home with subtitles. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just a very thick situation. It's crazy. Nick said Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders, there's it's all English, but the accent is just it throws you, man. It is. But actually, Jamaican English is just very much it's their own thing sometimes, man.
I thought Marley was great, and I love that Kingsley Ben-Adir can go from playing a Ken in Barbie to a wonderful portrayal of Bob Marley.
I do mix him up with Ben Kingsley sometimes.
Yeah, so
they got the same name. It's crazy.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Let us know if you're watching the Oscars. We'd like to hear. At No Other Pod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Shoot us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Leave us that 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And check us out, KCSN Soccer on YouTube or the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
These refs got me wilding out, man.